You know, but for the sake of remembrance, let us remind ourselves. Now, from last year up to now, and we're looking at the months of June, July, and August, we have this data from Amnesty International, and they report 63 deaths. This is also data that's corroborated by IMLU. The number of deaths per month, we're talking about 38 deaths in June, 11 deaths in July, 9 deaths in August, bringing the total to 58 up to that point, just in the 3 months of June, July, and August. Beg your pardon, my voice is a little scratchy because earlier on I was able to encounter some tear gas. Now, again, according to IMLU, we have experienced 601 abductions in this country in the last calendar period. We're talking about 63 abductions, 55 of them being male and 8 of them being female, and together with arrests of 201 personalities, 177 male personalities and 24 female. We've also encountered situations of unaccounted for persons, numbering 26. These are details from IMLU. Furthermore, we have a number of names of those whose lives were lost. Denzel Omondi, Chris Mureithi, Sami Maina, Evans Karobi, Shaquille Obienge, Austin Makoha, Erickson Mutisia, Ibrahim Kamau, Kennedy Wakini, Eric Shieni, Rex Masai, and of course, Kennedy Onyango, who's number 12 on the list, and incidentally, he died at the age of 12. Now, let us look at the order of events, exactly how we got here. On 10th of June, public hearings of the Finance Bill 2024 were held at the KICC. This is last year. Fast forward to 8 days later, on the 18th of June, protests were organized sporadically and concurrently across the country in areas like Eldoret, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kitengela, Kisumu, and Kisii. And according to Amnesty Kenya, at least 405 people, including 6 journalists, were arrested in Nairobi and across the country, while hundreds of others, including a police officer, were injured. On 20th of June, at least 22 people were arrested and at least 100 others sustained injuries, including one international journalist who sustained serious injuries. A few days later, and on the same day actually, 204 members of parliament voted yes for the bill to proceed to the final stage, where 115 voted against it. On the 23rd of June, Gen Z took the Anti-Finance Bill 2024 protests to church. Occupy Church, Occupy the Podium was the movement. On the 24th of June, the then Interior CS, Professor Kithure Kindiki, issued a tough warning on protesters, with Azimio la Umoja coalition vowing to reject the Finance Bill 2024 in Parliament. And on the 25th of June, Kenyans abroad, we're talking about the United States of America, Germany, and the UK, staged protests to pressure members of parliament to reject the 2024 finance bill. At exactly 1 p.m. on that day, protesters who had been demonstrating started moving towards parliament, which was now under the protection of the National Police Service Commission, rather National Police Service, I beg your pardon, using barricades and tear gas to cordon off protests and protesters from accessing Parliament. An hour later, 2 p.m., 195 members of Parliament voted in support of the 2024 Finance Bill. This, of course, as 106 others voted against this very bill. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the temporary lapse right there. It appears the tear gas had a belated response or impact on me. Before, we were just looking at some of the numbers that were significant, reminding ourselves of the order of events that led to the monumental protests that occurred last year. We saw the order of events, and some of those details appear to be ancient history in comparison to what is happening today. But gentlemen, by the way, remember we have Mr. Mukua and Mr. Lewis here to help us understand what is happening across our country. It should be known that our studios are on Kiambu Road, and right outside our studios is less than 100 meters, a matter of fact, I would say as close as 50 meters away. There's a huge crowd of youth who are surrounding that area.